What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com, live on Facebook, Wednesday afternoon, and thought I'd jump on late in the day and do a short Q&A session. Obviously, the Packers are off. It's not a whole heck of a lot of news, but always something to talk about. So I thought I'd jump on, say hello to you fine folks on this, what has turned out to be a rather warm day here in New York City, and say hello to fine people like Randy. Hello, Randy. How are you? Yeah, like I said, Packers, not a whole heck of a lot of news surrounding them at the moment. Although what little there is always up at PackersNews.com for you guys. But yeah, so looking at everything that we talked about yesterday, I came away thinking that it's interesting to me, and this is something I got asked about actually on a podcast that I appeared on last night, which you can find on my Twitter feed. Is it Thursday? Oh, yeah, Thursday. All right. I lose track of my days. It's interesting how everyone is so kind of anxious to see what the wide receivers are going to do, and the young wide receivers. And I know it gets boring hearing the same thing over and over again in regards to, well, you know, we got to see him put the pads on, but it's so much different trying to see what these guys are going to, what wide receivers are going to do in Green Bay their rookie years, as opposed to running backs. We know last year, obviously, the Packers drafted 3 running backs, and they came in and very much leaned on them throughout the season. But I don't think you can really count on rookie wide receivers in Green Bay having the same kind of impact. Hello, Scott. Hello, James. Everyone chiming in. It's Thursday. George, hello. Terrell Owens is chirping. Yes, David, he is, as he is wont to do. I'll watch you later. Russell, that's lovely. Hello from Winnipeg. What's up, Rob? Randy, hello. Will the Packers retire Clay Matthews' number? I doubt it. Hello from Seattle. What's up, James? Love the Mayfield interview. Yeah, Brandon, that was lovely. And I would encourage everyone to watch the entire thing. There's the clip on Twitter right now going around where Baker Mayfield pretty much shuts down Colin Cowherd about some exception he takes to how he celebrates a touchdown with or without his teammates. But the entire interview is actually pretty good, and I thought Baker did a good job kind of allowing people in a little bit. I'd also recommend checking out Robert Klemko's interview with all of the guys, all the quarterbacks, the first round guys at SI TV. That was really well done as well. How am I feeling? I'm feeling all right. You know, it's Thursday. It's hot. I'm all right. Jack, what's up in LA, man? Oh, Dennis. Dennis, I'm going to challenge you to something. Dennis is asking what week Clay Matthews will get hurt. And this follows most of Dennis's question pattern, which are almost always tending to skew negative. Dennis, I'm gonna challenge you. The next question you ask, the next comment you make, to come from a positive place. Let's see if you can do it. I have faith in you, sir. I know you can. Do you think T.O. has a real shot, or is it just a publicity stunt? It's an absolute publicity stunt. But people are talking about it. I've already commented several times here. Raji coming back. See, Chris, that's how slow it is. Raji coming back is actually being bandied about as actual headlines rather than just comments in this chat. Does Rodgers get any say in the Bucs draft pick tonight? No, but maybe he makes a call. You never know. What's happening with the secondary? The young Bucs are chirping a little bit. Aaron Rodgers has said he's got to put them in their place. But we'll see once the pads come on and they have to start kind of lining up and pressing guys at the line of scrimmage, especially Devontae Adams, how quickly maybe guys like Josh Jackson or Jair Alexander get humbled. You can't be positive. Everybody can be positive. NBA draft tonight. What's that? I don't know. Packs 2 first-round picks for Raiders, Mac. You know what? I'm not going to dismiss that completely out of hand. I don't think Brian Gutekunst would ever do that, but I would think about it. he's worth that, I think. Now that said, I don't think the Packers would ever pay him. I mean, that's the whole kind of issue in Oakland, right? Is that he wants a new contract. I don't think the Packers are going to trade 2 first-round picks and then pay this guy give him a monster deal right after or about when they're paying Aaron Rodgers to be the highest paid player ever in the history of the league. As Ted Thompson was fond of saying, this isn't fantasy football. If Jones improves his blocking skills, does he get the running back 1 job? I think so. The question is how long does that take? Does it even happen this year? Remember Brandon Jackson, who became an excellent pass pro back, it took him a year or 2 to kind of master it. It didn't just happen over one offseason. So I think it will be interesting to track to see how many opportunities he gets in camp to showcase his skills in pass protection, and 2, what he does with those opportunities. How will the first year of the new Green Bay hierarchy work out? I was talking about this on the radio yesterday in Milwaukee. It's all the honeymoon phase right now. Everyone's happy. They haven't lost a game. They haven't given up a point. But if they hit hard times at some point this season, which inevitably happens, I am very interested to see how things, the types of sound bites we get out of each corner, especially out of Mark Murphy, who is now going to be meeting with people every week and presumably will be a little bit more available. He certainly has been throughout the transition. So, TBD. Have you heard talk about Rollins to safety? I know that Michael Cohen, when he wrote the piece on Rollins a couple weeks ago, had mentioned that there were a couple of personnel people who thought he would be better suited to safety. I haven't heard that from any of the coaches, but that doesn't mean it's not being talked about or considered. We'll see what happens when they get to camp. I would tend to doubt that's a move they make. If they were going to make that move, they most likely would have done it at the start of the offseason so that he would do all the classwork and then put it up on its feet during installs. Since he was still running at corner during the spring, I tend to think that's where he's going to stick. But you never say never. I wouldn't completely shut the door on that possibility. We've reached the no news is good news time of year. You are absolutely 1,000,000,000% correct when it comes to the Green Bay Packers checking headlines every hour on the hour, whereas they're just hoping not to hear anything about someone getting arrested or someone getting hurt. Let's see. Is Kaiser a rebuild or just had a bad first year? I think both. I think he's going to be rebuilt, or they are rebuilding his mechanics, his processing, and how he plays the position. Those are the things that it's a much different offense, and there's a lot more on the quarterback in Green Bay than most other places. By all accounts, he has struggled fairly mightily early on in Green Bay, but that's to be expected. So did Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how things play out between him and Hundley. I think what everyone forgets is that Hundley has X number of years in the system. For all his struggles last year, he's still light years ahead of Kaiser when it comes to knowledge of the playbook and, understanding the concepts that they're running and, knowing what McCarthy is asking of them. Now, I think Kaiser's clearly more athletically gifted, and if he can get up to speed in the playbook, he should have, a chance. World Cup predictions that I will continue to watch every match and drink while doing so. What should we expect from Dimitri Goodson this year? Sean, I think he's in a battle to make the squad, honestly. I think, especially with those 2 first-round picks coming in, it's going to be I won't say a miracle, but it's a long shot for him to make the squad. Did I buy Jordy's house for $350,000? No. What's up, man? From Memphis. What's up? Do you see dual QB systems entering the NFL soon? No, I don't. I know there's rumblings of the Ravens trying to, create packages for Lamar Jackson, and we've heard things and seen a couple things throughout the years where teams maybe start platooning quarterbacks. But I just think there's so much that goes into playing the position, and there's such a limited amount of reps in the offseason, especially now considering the new CBA. I'd be very surprised if that ever caught on. AJ, hey Nagler, stop by Lot 1 again, say hi to the folks. You know I will. Lot 1 is where it's at, man. I love those people. Is there enough cap money for Earl Thomas? Travis, enough, yeah, but it would really put them up against it. Depending on what happens with Rodgers' deal, because they could create a whole lot of cap space, actually, by extending Rodgers. But that said, I don't think that's something they're going to do. Would you put Charles Woodson in the Packers' Ring of Honor? I would. I don't think they will. Simply because, obviously everyone knows what he meant to that Packers team. He certainly helped propel them to a Super Bowl championship. But, the whole career is bookended by stints in Oakland. I think he is, even with all those accomplishments in Green Bay, I think he's very much thought of as a Raider. And, for all he did in Green Bay, which was a lot, I'd be surprised if they made that kind of move. Do you think Philbin would have found a way to get more out of Hundley last year if you were OC? Maybe, but if you're taking McCarthy at his word, a lot of his struggles last year, Hundley's struggles last year, were about Hundley's lack of preparation, self-preparation. Now, maybe that's a coach trying to protect his staff. Maybe that's a coach trying to protect himself. But I tend to take Mike at his word on that one. Any likely right tackle salary cap cuts from other teams? Mark, nothing that leaps to mind. I've been asked this a couple times this week. But, Byron Bell, that's the cavalry. I mean, they've got Bell, Murphy, Spriggs, maybe even McCray that can kick out. They'll let one of those guys mix it up until Balaga's ready to go. I'd be very surprised if they made any other moves. Who's their best running back, in my opinion? Aaron Jones. I think he's the best pure runner, the best pure back. But I understand why they roll with Jamal Williams first, because they got to keep the franchise upright. And Jamal Williams is much better, or has been much better, than Aaron Jones when it comes to pass protection. And you've got to be able to play all three downs. And that's something Williams has proven he can do. He's been effective in the passing game when asked to be. Jones has struggled a bit with drops, not to mention fumbles in camp. So, I think Aaron has the upside to be the best. But I think, as far as trust and risk-reward, I think Williams will probably get, once again, the shot right out of the gate to start early on. How do they split carries up in the backfield this year? I think you'll see a lot of what we saw when both were healthy last year to begin the year. I think Ty Montgomery will be a bit of a passing down specialist. But ultimately, I think, Williams will get first crack, but I do expect Jones to make it really difficult to keep him on the bench. He's just too talented. Mark Murphy will buy Rodgers' old house. Timothy, I saw that. Mark Murphy is downsizing, I believe he called it, and moving to a smaller home. Which is more likely? We lead the NFL in sacks or interceptions? I'll go with interceptions. How surprised would you be if the Packers end up as a top 10 defense this season? Not terribly surprised. Who leads the team in sacks and who leads in picks? Oh man, I have no idea. Ask me again in 7 weeks. From Disneyland Park, Adam checking in from Disneyland. Will Kevin King lock down outside corner? I assume you mean opposite Tramon Williams. He'll be in for a battle. I think he, Josh Jackson, maybe even Lindsey Pipkins. That's going to be a good one to watch during camp. But I do believe, yes, I think King will essentially end up getting the nod. But, nothing's going to be handed to him. He's got to earn it. Zarepkowski, the forgotten man on offense? He certainly was a little bit last year. I'm very interested to see the battle between him and Joe Carriage in camp this summer because I contend that if Carriage hadn't gotten hurt last year, he would have pushed Zarepkowski for a job. So, we'll see how much they feature either of those guys in camp, how many opportunities they're given. But I agree with you that it certainly seemed like they shied away from some of the stuff they did with the fullback position the year prior. Which team do you think would be harder to beat, the Rams or the Patriots? Wow, that's a really good question. I'm going to say most likely, given all the circumstances, I would think the Rams. Um, you know, point blank, McCarthy has shown that he can coach against Belichick, and you know, Rodgers and Brady is a marquee matchup, and everybody wants to, you know, point to it, and I get that, but I tend to think, you know, out on the West Coast, the time difference, Aaron Donald and company on the defensive line. You know, Wade Phillips has shown that he knows how to lock down McCarthy and Rodgers. Yeah, I think that's going to be a tough ask. That's not to say that the Patriots game will be easy. I think that'll be a battle. I think that will be one of the best NFL games of the year. But I think that Rams game is going to be a real tall order. Cliff Averill, Lloyd. Averill is recovering from a couple of injuries, but I'll be surprised if he plays football again. Always hear how great Pipkins and Bryce are. I'm interested in how they contribute. Well, I think Bryce will be in competition with Josh Jones for that safety job opposite Glenn Dix. And don't blow it up into something it's not. I'm certainly not. I don't think anyone else is either, saying that they're quote unquote great, that they're destined for the Hall of Fame or anything. But I do think those are guys that most fans will look at and think, well, they're not frontline guys. They haven't done a whole lot in the league, and I think fans tend to be dismissive of them in a way that maybe they shouldn't be. I think, given the opportunity, you don't have to go back too far. You look at Week 17. Lindsey Pipkins played his butt off in that game. He played rather well. We've seen Bryce play well in stretches. We've also seen him struggle. So I think those are two guys in particular that the Packers are going to take to camp, see what they've got, and they've definitely got a shot. I definitely wouldn't kind of dismiss them just because there are maybe other more heralded guys in front of them. All right, everybody, I'm going to take off, but thanks so much for all the questions. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours, but I will be back tomorrow, so make sure you're tuning in then, and make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest. Until then, have a good night.